Against U.S. President Donald Trump, I'm joined in the studio by National Convernor for the Progressive Women's Movement of South Africa, Professor Hlengiwe Mkhize. She is also the Deputy Minister of Telecommunications and Postal Services. Professor Mkhize, good evening and welcome.
Good evening to the listeners. Good evening.
Now, how significant were yesterday's marches in America?
I think it had the big impact. And also, I mean, for me, I saw the power of technology because we didn't hear much about the mobilization. But at the end, closer to the inauguration day, when you read and follow human rights groups, you could clearly see that the mobilization outside was much bigger than even the planning that was done officially.
And there really was no one group that you can attribute this to. It was pretty much a call made out on social media, and people across cities in America, people across cities around the world went out to protest.
I think we see democracy in action in the sense that people were reading and following the campaign trail and picking up offensive language, human rights violations specific to target groups. So, and often those people will be in groupings of some kind, be it in terms of sexual orientation, religious orientation, blacks, Muslims, immigrants, you name it. All people who were mentioned during the campaign as less human, as less American, then got an opportunity to connect, come together, and to protest. I mean, we are talking close to 1 million. The official figure, they will talk about 600,000 plus, but how many people who came who might not have registered? So it's really, we see impact of social mobilization, in particular around human rights.
And how significant is it that this was led by women? Because the various issues that they really were marching for, as you mentioned, it's Donald Trump's anti-immigration stance, it's minority groups that he campaigned against, but it was actually led by women as much as they're fighting for various issues.
No, but you know, it's so funny. So many people will say, South Africa, where are you? Why are you quiet? Historically, I think women tend to be the one who are sensitive, closer to real issues, besides the big discourse. So women picked up these issues, and for them, it tears apart America. It disorganizes social cohesion. So peace and security for women tends to be more important than power. And this is one area where women felt it's about time we come together across human rights organization and formation, race, class, you name it. You see young and old. It really,
you see ordinary women, we see Hollywood celebrities marching.
Yeah, exactly. It brought them together. And that's why also those are things we are looking at, that as we talk about technology, its value and its impact is because it's able to bring everything together. It's like an Internet of Things, all objects coming together under one roof.
And the thing is, up until today, it's been trending on social media. People have been discussing it on social media. What can women across the African continent perhaps learn from this group of women in America?
You know, there are quite a number of issues that women are struggling with. We are looking at the use of technology to deal with the question of sustainable development goals. We have issues of gender-based violence, poverty, exclusion in the economy. You talk women. Education and skills, health, you talk women. It's really, we can step up our efforts much quicker if we come together across all divides and make a clear statements, go to the streets and protest and be unambiguous in expressing the continent we want. I mean, we talk now about positions of leadership. Again, if you look at what has happened here, partly, you know, I was looking at some messages, some people saying, oh, maybe women are upset because Trump trumped Hillary Clinton. If that is also an issue or concern, I think it's a good thing for women to stand up and stand up for each other.
It's interesting that you're saying that some people were saying it's because President Donald Trump beat the Democrat candidate who was a woman. But should men then be part of these conversations? Because what we tend to find is that when it comes to gender conversations and conversations about women's issues, it's often just women who are having these conversations, predominantly women who go out to the streets to protest for women's issues. Should men be brought into these conversations, or is it okay for them to be women-only conversations?
Well, the gender equality issue is not really a woman's issue. It's for civil society and democratic societies and defenders of human rights. So it's our responsibility as citizens, if we want to be civil. So I think what we saw here again is a clear demonstration that whatever he said, there are people who could say, I'm white, I was not, I was put as a superior race in some speeches. But they came out because they want to defend the democracy. That's the America they believe in. That's their social formation. As people, they do believe I'm dignified as long as I respect the right of others. If I humiliate others, I first also am humiliated. So you really see here some developments which are bringing people of the same mind together and closer because of the perceived or anticipated threats that power might be used in this administration to undermine, to discriminate, to widen relationships amongst people who find themselves in a powerful country like America.
Professor Mkhize, any parallels perhaps that we can draw with the 1956 Women's March in South Africa?
Well, you know, we always have this thing that they struggled. They will wait for a train to stop, then they leave a piece of paper. When you see this, maybe they could have got the whole of South Africa to go to the Union Building. We're really jealous, but we are proud of what they did with nothing, as compared, of course, to the privileged people today with all the technologies, mobile phones, and the resources. So we're always proud because historically we're associated with that.
And earlier you did mention that mobilization through the use of mobile phones, people tweeting on their hands,
social media,
and it really transcended borders because there were marches in Cape Town, there were marches in Nairobi, there were marches in other parts of the world, really.
Yeah, you saw Cape Town, but you didn't see Diepsloot because you don't go through informal settlements. They were everywhere. Yes, it's a power of technology, really, whereby a message can be sent through and spread widely. And as people who are striving for greater impact when it comes to service delivery also, beyond human rights issues, it's encouraging to us to know that what we are saying is possible, is doable. We can have greater results in terms of the outcomes we desire if we acquire critical skills to use these technologies strategically. America, of course, you know, with technology, they have been in it for decades. So you could see the power of internet as well in connecting not only within the states in America, but all the first world countries first. And of course, countries like South Africa, Kenya, and many others who are connected.
Now, as the convener of the progressive women's movement in South Africa, what sort of issues would you say that women can probably learn from America with in terms of mobilizing using technology and in terms of using technology to try and solve those issues that they are facing here in South Africa?
You know, most of our women said we haven't taken the advantage of this structure because it brings people together across all segments of society, not only political parties, but we have people coming from the churches, the NGOs, universities, and communities. Because here also the power of this march is that it wasn't the opposition party which went to the streets. It was different segments of society that said, we want to defend our values. We want to defend what we believe will dignify us, to respect the other. They went to the street, irrespective of political party affiliation. And so the PWMSA, the Progressive Women's Movement, it has that advantage, which we have to really learn from this and utilize it to the fullest.
And looking into the future now, Deputy Minister, having seen this and what this has done in the rest of the world and the women's movement all over the world, what do you think about the future of mobilization and social mobilization, of course, with the use of technology?
You know, I keep on saying, when you look at the ICTs, when you look at innovation, you are looking at young people and the future. We are the generation who are struggling with inequalities, the gaps, the risk if our young people are not absorbing these technologies for a different future, a different agenda and outcomes. We might find tomorrow also still talking about unemployed youth, still talking about young people who are not skilled, who are not entrepreneurs, and that could lead to all sorts of social problems. So it's really about the future of saying, whatever issue, let's mobilize around it so that the future, the tomorrow, we don't know is different. And it's inclusive, and it's helping our countries to take this country forward. And analyze all the needs of today and make sure that this generation doesn't miss any opportunity in terms of defining their own agenda.
And are we seeing young women coming up in those ICT careers? Are they taking them up at universities? Are they joining groups that can help them in such, so they too can contribute in that manner?
You know, last year, whenever we connected, be it a school or a clinic, we would say, let's invite beyond. There are groups which have been coming, but this year I've been saying we need camps of some kind, whereby people from the private sector can spend some time, even if it's a weekend camp, really showing young people, especially women, the value chain, not only one aspect of the ICTs, which could be infrastructure, the wireless, or areas of data or analytics, and you name it. But we want to push and drill and make them understand that it's no longer a luxury, but it's an opportunity for them to be included in big numbers, and for society in general to realize that they are missing out a huge percentage of people who could be growing the GDP of these countries by leaving out women.
Professor Mkhize, clearly women's issues and technology are both important to you. All right, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, so that was Professor Hlengiwe Mkhize. She is the National Convener for the Progressive Women's Movement of South Africa. She's also the Deputy Minister of Telecommunications and Postal Services. Let's take a short break.